From Lance Armstrong confessing on Oprah about using steroids to Ryan Lochte faking a whole robbery, these are the most controversial athletes of all time. Let's start with Lance and his cheating ways. I mean, back in the day, Lance Armstrong was a freaking hero. He won 7 Tour de France titles consecutively between 1999 and 2005, became a champion at the Union Cyclist International Road World Championship, and even founded a cancer foundation that raised nearly $400 million. This guy was an inspiration to many, especially those who battled cancer. But wait, that was before people found out what he had been doing on the sidelines. Rumors began to swirl that Armstrong's success was achieved with the help of banned performance-enhancing drugs. After an investigation in 2012, it was found that the allegations were true. Armstrong was banned from Olympic sports and stripped of his Tour de France titles. Ouch! It wasn't until 2013, in a jaw-dropping interview with Oprah Winfrey, that Armstrong finally confessed to years of doping. He even admitted to pressuring his teammates to use performance-enhancing drugs to match his abilities. This guy was practically running a doping ring. Armstrong tried to justify his actions by saying that he didn't view it as cheating, but rather as leveling the playing field. What a load of bull! The investigation into Armstrong's doping revealed just how far he went to maintain secrecy and how his teammates were pressured into doping. This once great hero had fallen from grace, and it was a shock to everyone who had ever looked up to him. Then there was this next star player who got involved in a scandal. So you remember Ray Price, right? He was a pretty decent NFL player who played for the Baltimore Ravens. Well, back in 2014, he got into some serious trouble when a video surfaced of him assaulting his then-fiancée, Janae Palmer, in an elevator. This video was brutal. You could see Rice punch Palmer in the face, and she fell to the ground unconscious. It was a shock to everyone who saw it, and the NFL didn't handle the situation very well at first. They only suspended Rice for 2 games, which was pretty lenient considering what he had done. But then things got even worse. Another video emerged showing the actual assault, and it was even more graphic than the first one. The public outcry was intense, and the NFL finally took action, suspending Rice indefinitely. The incident sparked a lot of conversations about domestic violence and how it's often swept under the rug. Many people were angry at Rice for what he had done. There were also those who believed that he deserved a second chance. Eventually, Rice was reinstated by the NFL, but he never played professionally again. But if you thought that was bad, you clearly haven't heard about this next one. Did you know about the allegations against Deshaun Watson? His once promising NFL career was mired in controversy after multiple allegations of sexual assault and misconduct surfaced against him in 2021. The former Houston Texans quarterback had a bright start to his career and was considered one of the league's top-rated quarterbacks. But his reputation took a severe hit when accusations began to surface. The first allegation came from a Houston massage therapist named Ashley Solis. She filed a civil lawsuit against Watson in March 2021, claiming that he exposed himself and touched her hand against his genitals during a massage session at her home. Watson denied the allegations, but as the days passed, more women came forward with similar allegations, eventually totaling 24. 10 of the women filed criminal complaints against Watson. But despite this, 2 Texas grand juries did not indict him on any criminal charges. However, Watson's troubles were far from over. The civil lawsuits and NFL investigation remained, leaving his professional future uncertain. In the end, the NFL handed Watson an 11-game suspension and a $5 million fine, and he settled 23 of the civil lawsuits against him. Although he has not been criminally charged, his reputation has been severely damaged, and while Watson got off scot-free, the same couldn't be said for Oscar Pistorius. You won't believe what happened to Oscar. He was like the king of the world in 2012. Everyone loved him. The man was winning medals and breaking records left, right, and center. But then, on Valentine's Day 2013, his whole life came crashing down, and no one saw it coming. Brace yourself. Basically, he shot 4 times at the locked bathroom door of his house, killing his girlfriend inside. Can you imagine? The trial was insane as expected. I mean, the man was a legend, so obviously the limelight on the trail was unbearable. And even though it was an open and shut case, the trial still came with some surprises. For instance, Oscar actually defended himself, saying what happened was an accident. Oscar claimed he thought an intruder was in the bathroom, but it turns out he shot his own girlfriend. Wow! Anyway, whatever he said about it being an accident didn't really convince people much about the evidence suggested otherwise. His neighbors testified that they heard Pistorius and Steenkamp screaming at each other and then gunshots. What a nightmare! And even though there were reports that Pistorius was abusive and controlling in their relationship, the judge still went easy on him. She found him guilty of culpable homicide, which is like manslaughter, and only gave him 5 years in prison. Wow! This whole story is shocking and tragic, and it's a reminder of how violence can destroy lives in an instant. Then there was this NFL star who had some troubles in his personal life. Let's talk about Aaron Hernandez. Aaron Hernandez was once a promising football player, a talented tight end who could have gone on to have a long and successful career in the NFL. But as it turns out, his success on the field was just a facade hiding a much darker reality. In fact, even when he was just a rookie, Hernandez had a reputation for being trouble. Teams knew that he hung out with questionable characters off the field, and there were whispers about his involvement in illegal activities. But despite the warning signs, the New England Patriots took a chance on him, and for a while, it looked like it might pay off. But then, in 2013, everything came crashing down. Hernandez was arrested and charged with the murder of Odin Lloyd, the boyfriend of his fiance's sister. The evidence against him was overwhelming, including video footage from his own home security system that showed him holding a gun shortly before the murder. The trial was a media circus. But in the end, Hernandez was found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without a possibility of parole. And just a few years later, he took his own life in his cell. But not all athletes come into the limelight for the horrible stunts they pull. Sometimes stars like Colin Kaepernick become the talk of the town for the good they do. Back in 2016, the NFL quarterback caused a major stir when he refused to stand for the national anthem before games, sending a powerful message about police brutality and social injustice. But it wasn't until his third protest on August 26th of that year that people really began to take notice. After the game, Kaepernick explained to reporters that he was taking a stand, or rather a seat, because he couldn't, in good conscience, show pride in a flag for a country that was oppressing people of color. He pointed to the unjust treatment of black people by law enforcement, giving examples of unharmed black men being killed without consequence. Colin knew that his protests could have serious repercussions, including the loss of endorsements and even his football career. But he felt strongly that it was worth it to stand up for what was right. Plus, despite the backlash he faced from some quarters, his message has continued to resonate with people around the world. In fact, other players, such as Eric Reid, also started accompanying him in the protests. But not all athletes are as graceful as Colin. Some, like Ryan Lochte, just can't help themselves from stirring up pointless trouble. Now, let me tell you about Ryan. This Olympic swimmer made a splash for all the wrong reasons at the 2016 Summer Olympics in Rio de Janeiro. Lochte and his fellow swimmers claimed they were robbed at gunpoint at a gas station. Lochte even told a dramatic story about a gun being pointed at his head, while his teammates were held at gunpoint and robbed of their wallets. But as it turned out, Lochte and his pals were lying through their teeth. CCTV footage revealed they had actually vandalized the gas station and got into a heated argument with security guards. And it turns out he lied about the whole thing just so he could avoid getting caught in the fight with the guards. Later, when the issue was investigated, they were forced to pay for the damages. The scandal blew up, and Lochte quickly became a laughingstock. I mean, what else were they expecting to happen? He lost sponsors, was suspended from swimming for 10 months, and had to do community service. But hey, he did get a sweet nickname out of it, the Liar's Liar Speedo on Fire. So, from Ryan Lochte faking a whole robbery to Lance Armstrong confessing on Oprah about using steroids, those were the most controversial athletes of all time.